Welcome everybody to the Youth Leadership Program Facilitator Training. We want to, let's see, I had a nice introduction here, but I don't have, what am I supposed to do first, Christina?
We're not welcome. I'm going to introduce you.
Was that right? Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to introduce you. So I'm going to stop sharing now. We have breakout rooms ready?
No.
Almost? Okay.
But go ahead.
I will introduce Mary. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We assume you're here to learn something and you're not perfect, right, Lynette? A longtime Toastmaster, Mary Schindorfer, has been involved with YLP since supporting youth leadership supporting youth leadership since it was used as a rationale for chartering her club, literally speaking. That was in 2006. New to the YLP at that time, she assisted, then supported as a guest speaker, then facilitated. That club sponsored a youth leadership program every year. Mary honed her motivating member skills by getting club members to support her programs. She has seen diverse populations of kids who do not know each other at all face their fears and stand up to speak. Others who take several weeks to build the courage to speak, and one memorable young man who finally spoke on the last day with his parents watching. Supporting this program that changes young people's lives at this critical stage of their life is a pleasure. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Mary Schindorfer.
Wow, that sounded really good. Thanks, Christina. So I want to start off by welcoming you all here and reviewing the agenda. So Christina, I'm going to ask you to share those slides again. We're going to just quickly go over the agenda. The first is we're going to do a welcome and I'll introduce the word of the day. We'll do a bit of an introduction. We're going to move over to Christina then. She's going to tell us about the overview, give some sample agendas. We're going to do a team talk. This is an activity in the room. We'll just go over evaluations and give you some strategies for how to coordinate a program. Then we have a panel discussion planned for you and just a review of what's your best thing that you can think of. What's a nugget for you? So Christina, let's move on to that next slide now. This is going to be our word of the day. Leadership. And so I'm giving you this slide just to show you, and those of you, anyone who was here last year would have seen the same slide last year. But this is a really great example because when you model a behavior right off the bat, you are showing the kids how to do it. So if you are, you're setting a bar. So if you're doing an online program and you show a slide like this for the word of the day, this is what you're going to get when you assign a word of the day to the next person. A participant will grow in their ability to do this, but they're able to aim for something when you have showed them something to aim for. So if you want to, if you're not able to display a slide, you might have a printed slide, have it on the lectern, however you want to do it, make it a bar to achieve or to aim to so that the kids will do that as well. So leadership is the act of guiding a group of people or an organization. It's a state or position of being a leader. Leaders of an organization, of a country or a team might be considered leaders. Leadership skills can be learned and leaders will evolve. Or under his leadership, they were able to feed 100 homeless people Christmas dinner. So we have a fairly small room right now, so why don't we just go through introducing everybody. We'll start with Christina. How about you? So we'll do Christina, myself, and then Grace, and I'll name 3 people at a time. Go ahead, Christina. My question is, and you're going to model how long it takes to introduce yourself as well. I don't really have a question, but I like you to use the word leadership in your introduction. Something to do with the youth leadership program. Ha, there's a clue. And knock on the table too, because the kids love that knocking. Go
Good
ahead.
morning, everyone. My name is Christina Cruz, and I believe leadership is giving a good example.
Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, everybody. My name is Mary Schundorfer, and leadership is what makes the world go around, whether we want it to or not. Over to you, Grace.
Hey, everybody. My understanding about leadership, I think leadership can be learned, especially after joining the Toastmasters program.
Okay, the next three people will have Lynette, and then Rob and Ali.
Good morning, Toastmasters. My name is Lynette Zotzman, and I gained great leadership skills when I coordinated a youth leadership program.
Rob?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Kulshine. I believe that there are some people who are natural-born leaders, but I truly believe that leaders can be made.
Good.
Thank you.
Ali?
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Ali, and I believe that without leadership, the world, without leadership, we can't function.
The next we'll have Ksenia, then Agnes, then Carolyn.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ksenia. When it comes to leadership, I believe you're not alone in it, in that there's lots of other leaders who are there to support you as you grow in your leadership skills.
Perfect. Agnes?
Good morning, everyone. This is Agnes Lowe. Leadership is about inspiring and empowering people to achieve the same goal and discover their potential. And we all have the shared vision. That is the YLP shared vision as Toastmaster, eventually when they are adult. Thank you.
Thanks. And Carolyn?
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Carolyn, and if life is throwing you tomatoes, then be a leader and make tomato sauce.
Thank you, Carolyn. We'll have Daisy, Michelle, and Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daisy Wei. I believe a leader had a self-awareness. You're aware what you can do, also aware how other people can make it. Thank you.
Perfect. Michelle? We're not hearing you, Michelle. Did anyone else hear Michelle?
Nope.
Okay, how about we move on, Lisa? How about you? And we'll check out Michelle's sound.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa. I believe leadership is important, especially leaders gather a group of people and guide them through uncertainty and see the light through the tunnel and have the strong mindset to keep the people working on and get through the harder or difficult portion of the path.
Thanks, Lisa. Michelle, how about you? Want to try again?
Good morning.
That's better.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Ryerson. I believe leadership, as stated on the screen there, that it is a learned skills. And I believe that every youth that can inspire to be a strong leader with the guidance and support of other leaders in their community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. And Meghna. Are you there, Meghna?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mary. Good morning, everybody. My name is Meghna Bhagat. I was a very reluctant leader in my own club, Kepler Astrologers, but once I committed, I not only discovered that all these leadership skills that I had inside me already, but it gave me an opportunity to express my love and care for my community and for my field. So big fan of leadership now.
Perfect. We've heard some real gems there. So I am going to turn it over now to Christina, and I have somewhere I have an introduction for Christina. Oh my goodness, where'd it go? I don't have in my introduction for Christina. However, I can tell you that she's been a Toastmaster for many years, longer than me even, and she has facilitated many of these programs. So she has lots of tips and tricks. Most of her programs were pre-2020. I'll tell you that. Well, I won't say most of her programs because she brings this into her life every single day because she is a teacher and she's found that this is a solid way to be building skills in all kinds of areas with our youth. So please join with me in welcoming my co-facilitator today, Christina Cruz.
Thanks, Mary. Thank you all for being here. And what we're hoping by the end of today's session is you will walk away with some resources and materials to either inspire you to get started or support what you've been doing in the past. I think probably most people overall, they just want to know, what does this program look like? And what is my job when I put my hand up? So I want to share with you a overview, and then we're going to take it apart and look at it in more detail. So our suggestion is 8-week program, depending on the students, depending on your facility, depending on your time. If you think you're going to do it in an hour a week, you're probably kidding yourself, because the kids will start talking. And I have been many times where they've asked for extra sessions or a longer time. So we say we're going to be done at 4, and next thing we know, they're not even out of the room till 4:30. So 90 minutes would be my suggestion. If you have a lot of students, you probably need 2 hours per session. The first session is when we're on. That's when we're going to give them the initial expectations and the skills to be able to take on the roles for the rest of the program. So if you look at this overview, you'll see the italics words are kind of our educationals. These are the skill builders. You're not going to expect them to do all these things on the first session, but as you increase and add things to the program week by week. And I always find that by week 3, I'm thinking, what am I doing? They're not getting it. And then week 4, who's been dealing with these kids for the last 7 days? Because it just clicks. And all of a sudden you have a Toastmaster and you have a great table topic master. And the person who does that speech is just wowing everybody, including the other adults who helped or who encouraged you to bring the program to these students. So you're on at the beginning. And I think leadership is a really good word. It's the name of our program, and you do what we just did. You do the introductions right away. Tell me your name. What do you think leadership is? And if there's a lot of students, say in one word, because otherwise your introduction will take you half of your program. There'll be half the kids who are class clowns and don't mind stage time, and the other half are sitting there thinking, parents signed me up for this, or I know I need to do this. And some point they're going to ask me to speak. Don't make that be 45 minutes into the first session. Get it over with. And as soon as they've just said their name, if they can, and what leadership is, there's kind of this relief in the room that, okay, I can talk in front of this group. Every session, and we suggest this order, but it depends who your facilitator assistants are. It depends on the group that you have. But if you give them how to write a speech, and we're going to take you through that this week, this session today, and table topics, then you run a table topic session, and you do a really good job of demonstrating table topic master so that you can then hand that off to the students. Evaluations, if you do it right away, they do it from then on. Every time you teach a skill, you don't do it again, or you don't have a Toastmaster do it again. And then as we go through, you can teach them vocal variety, you can teach them gestures. Effective listening is one of the things that we actually say as communicators is really important. So we have a couple of interesting activities that we can do to stress how important it is to listen. And word of the day with the knocking on the table or the jazz hands is one way for them to immediately recognize whether they're listening or not. We've done event planning, we've done PowerPoint, which when we started doing it, nobody was doing it. So giving them those skills, and they're going to use at school, or they're going to use in their future jobs. And then the last session is often I brought in a Toastmaster who talks about why these skills are so important in my job or in my life outside of those Toastmasters. So the first session is always a little bit top heavy in the participant of the Toastmasters being a participant. Here's an example of first session. We did this one online, and it was with young students. So immediately we had to tell them how to, this was when we first went online, so how to use the controls. Don't assume everybody knows. And even in this room, you're muted, you didn't have your video on. You've got to train that if you're doing an online program. So that is part of the learning. That is part of the leadership skills you're giving these students as you go through the program. We did an introductory session where they had to introduce each other. And then we did table topics right away with a word of the day. And that was led by different Toastmasters. My suggestion is don't run the program by yourself, because you rob other Toastmasters of being part of the program, and you rob the students of seeing different types of leadership. So grab people in this group, grab people in your history, grab people in your club to bring it on. So in this actual meeting, there was probably 4 different Toastmasters who took leadership roles. Table topics, then we taught them how to do evaluations. We're going to do that with you today. Then we vote for best table topics, and they don't get that at the beginning, but that tiny bit of competition brings a better game from each of the participants. The second part I'd like to stress is that before you leave the meeting, whether it's in person or online, you get the next group of speakers. And depending on the number of people, you could have 2 timers, you can have 2 grammarians, you can have 2 quiz masters. Those are easy jobs you can teach in 3 or 4 sentences and encourage more people to get involved. So it matters how much time you have, and it matters how many participants you have. But we've learned over the years, maybe you have 5, you're going to have 7 table topics, have 2 table topic masters, and immediately they're taking those leadership roles. After the first session, there should not be an adult doing table topics. And if you're really lucky, you should not have to be Toastmaster again. So what are the key skills that we would expect students to finish with? And if you look at the color coding here, the very first session, you got to tell them how to construct a speech. And we're going to do this today with a Lego example. Some of you may have seen in the past. And you need to teach them what table topics looks like, because that's going to be part of every session going forward. And that's one way to up the way that people participate, not unlike what we do in a meeting. If you come to a meeting and you never speak, why would you come back? Sometimes you just learn by listening, but if that's going to be a repeating situation for you, you're probably not learning as much as you could. So get the kids involved as fast as you can. Evaluations, vocal variety, and gestures are paramount to them having skills to make their presentations better. If they can evaluate, and I love this story, this happened about 2 months ago in my class. I had told the students 3 different students would evaluate when they read their story or whatever. And they were retelling a story. And one boy got up and he had his hands behind his back. And he did a great job. He read his little whatever. And then he looked at person number 1 who said what you did well, and person number 2, and he looked at her and he went, "Oh, I get it, it's my hands." She had to do something about gestures, and he, before she opened her mouth, said, "My hands were behind my back." And I went crazy. This was like the second time I'd done this in the class, and I went, check that out. Elias already knows how he can improve himself. If they're not evaluating each other, they will never evaluate themselves. Either will we as adults. But I'm telling you, what an adult learns in a year, a high school kid will learn in a session, and an elementary kid will learn in 10 minutes. Do not doubt how fast these students will learn. So for him, he figured it out. Nobody had to tell him. And if we do that and nothing else in the end of 8 sessions, we have majorly succeeded. Other topics that we've done in the past: PowerPoint, effective planning, effective listening, or event planning. And then Toastmasters in the real world, I think, is a really valuable kind of crescendo at the end. We bring in we have some very successful writers or speakers already within our clubs, and they didn't get there without Toastmasters. So bring them in to talk to the students, and then they're not just hearing it from Christina. I think one of the most valuable things is that by the end of a session that I have coordinated, those kids have probably been told by 8 different adults how amazing they are. And I can't set that up. So if you bring somebody in to be the general evaluator and they say, wow, I can't believe you guys are so good. You're so brave. You're better than some of the people in my club. I never set that up. And it happens over and over and over again. At the end of 6 or 7 sessions, those kids are walking around like peacocks. And that's what we want. Our biggest goal is to get them to be confident. So let's try it. What does it look like? We're going to do something called team talks. So in person, I have bags of Lego pieces. You're going to get a piece of Lego. Actually, this is called Duplo. If you're not a parent, this is what you give before they're, because they still eat stuff. So it's not Lego, which is too small to go down their throat. If you pick the 3-piece Duplo, you are going to do the introduction for your speech. If you get 1 piece, you're going to give one of the 3 points. I'm talking to people who know this, so I'm not giving you lots of detail. And if you get the 2-piece Lego, you have to give the conclusion. So what we're going to do is divide into groups, and you are going to choose one of those roles. A speech is 5 parts: an introduction, point 1, point 2, point 3, and a conclusion. We are asking students to do this in the group. Nobody is on the spot to do a speech the first session. If we do this on the first session, they have the formula to go home and do a speech to bring it to the group next time. So we're going to give you 10 minutes. Mary's going to put us into breakout rooms, and I will tell you your... Mary, have you labeled the rooms or not yet? Just want to
label the rooms. I have not opened them yet. So we need to
give the
assign
topics.
groups. No, well, first let's assign groups. So group 1 would be in the main room, because that would be a recorded session. That will be Rob, Michelle, Grace, Ali, Ksenia. So that needs to be okay with all those people that you are being recorded. So then there is, who's left? We have Daisy, Agnes, Carolyn, Lisa, Lynette. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Lynette was going to be in the main room.
Yeah, Lynette's staying in the main room.
Oh, okay, Lynette's in the main room.
I think
So
we're only in, will we just end up with 2 groups, Mary?
we're going to have too many people. Do you want to just have extra points?
How many do we have? I'm sorry, I don't even know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We have 14 or 13 people now. Someone dropped off. Okay, let's have just 2 groups.
We just do 1 in the main room and 1 breakout room.
Okay.
So they can add an extra point. Yeah, it'll be easier than making rooms of 3. So this is pre-planned based on our registration list. So this is what you have to be able to do as a facilitator coordinator.
Nothing fast.
Because you will plan for 20 kids in the room and you'll end up with 12. And then all of a sudden it changes. So if you can do the math, we were going to have 3 breakout rooms of 5 people each. But if it doesn't happen, how do you change and how do you adjust that? So what's going to happen now is we're going to send you into a breakout room. We're going to give you a topic and you have 10 minutes as a group to figure out an introduction, 3 or 4 points, and a conclusion. Here's a tip. You can't do the introduction until you know what the 3 points are. So don't ask the introducer to say, what's your introduction? You have to figure out what your topic is and then decide as a group, oh, if we're talking about food, let's do fruit, vegetables, and meat. You're going to talk about fruit. You're going to talk about vegetables. You're going to talk about, and then the conclusion can be created after you've heard the first 4 people speak. But you only have 10 minutes because we're going to come back and present and evaluate those speeches. So what we're trying to give the students is an example of here's a template. In 10 minutes, you can write a speech. Don't tell me you had 6 days and you can't write a speech because you're going to do one next week, right? So it's super, super simple. Eventually, they'll take it on all of it by themselves. All right, Mary.
All right, I have Rob, Michelle, Grace, Ali, Ksenia, and Lynette staying in the main room. And Daisy, Agnes, Carolyn, Lisa, Magna going to the breakout room. Now, I haven't counted you and I, Christina, in there.
No,
I
we're not gonna
think
do that.
that's everybody. So I will open the rooms now. Just a minute, they're not open yet, so you won't be able to see them yet.
Is their room labeled with their speech topic, or do I have to give that now?
You need to give it.
Okay.
So
Do that.
the group that's going to a breakout room, I'm going to open, there's 4 rooms, but I want you to go to group, it'll be group 2, okay?
Okay, don't go until we tell
And
you.
don't go until we do the, I'm not gonna
What
open,
the
I won't
group
open the rooms yet. Go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna put it
Christina.
in the chat. I'm just gonna put it in the chat because we have too many. So group 1 is going to talk about the spirit of giving. That's the people that stay in the main room. And group 2 is going to talk about technology impacts our holiday traditions. So those are the people that are in the breakout room. So if you need to, take the chat right now and copy it. And Mary is dropping a template, what you would do for your students. This is how it works. They would actually, in person, be given something. Online, we have to give the visual. Any questions?
So I've opened the rooms. They are, it's going to be a help yourself. So everybody who is in group 2, you will just open the breakout room and you will choose that group 2 breakout room. It's just to choose your own.
We'll bring you back in 10 minutes and your group will present to everybody. Have fun.
Have you pressed the button yet and you're just not going? Did I mess up?
Daisy got it. So if you're going to the breakout room, just hit join.
I'm assigning people right now. If you're not sure how to do it, just click the button. Oh, good, we're here. So Christina and I in the recording, Schindorfer will disappear.
I don't think I got moved. I don't.
Okay, Carolyn. Oh yeah, assigned to. Oh, there. She's going.
Okay, so the 5 of you that are left are going to create a speech about the spirit of giving. And I'm going to excuse myself to Mother Nature for a moment.
Rob, you're muted if you're talking.
I knew that. Who assigns the Duplo pieces?
And so how do we get the spoke pieces?
We don't get pieces. You just kind of decide. Okay, like if you want me, I'll just decide for you, but you could decide amongst your group. Who wants to do an introduction?
I want to do one of the points.
Me too.
I'll do the conclusion.
Introduction, anybody? By default, Rob, you're going to be doing an introduction.
I said I wanted to do, oh, no, never mind. I can bitch and complain and won't do shit. And this is being recorded. Hey, so what's point number 1?
I'll start because I've got a great one in my head. We often hear the spirit of giving around Christmas time. And the other 11 months, I don't hear those 4 special words. However, we could keep it flowing through the year like a magic thread. We could give to charity, we could give to our time, and we can give our talents to help others throughout the year. I don't know how long each point has to be, but I kind of figure it's got to be condensed.
Who's doing point number 2?
Can do point number 2. Part of the spirit of giving in my mind is more how to offering a kindness to other people. Imagine about that. If everybody is showing some kindness to the other people, the world will be changing for the better world. I really love, I give you 2 examples. One thing I loved when I first came into Canada, I heard about the paying forward program. I never heard that before in my home country though. Paying forward, you're paying something to strangers. It's not a big money, tiny money, and maybe just a small meal, make that person feel much better. So encourage that person to paying forward to the future or next strangers. Another example is when I was in the hospital, I saw an old lady, he was using a walker. It's really hard for her to open the door with a walker. But the door was not automatically opened. So I was sitting there thinking, should I offer her help? Should I do that? But I did. I was so happy. I did open the door for her, and she feel really, really released because nobody else opened the door for her. And that's meaning you're offering small kindness to other people, make other people feel happy, and also make me feel very valuable to the world. That's my points for offering kindness.
Who's got point number 3?
I think that's me.
Okay.
So here it's going to be, I'll work this out in my mind a little better without too many ums and ahs, but the third point for spirit of giving is to take something that you love, your passion, and use it to help others or to share it with others. And what I mean by that, you can do that through volunteering or being a tutor, for example, in your schools. So for example, I absolutely love math. It was my favorite subject when I was in school. And a few years back, I was volunteering with the Calgary Public Library. They had a Math Minds program, and they also had a homework help program, which I got involved with. I worked with other volunteers to help students who were struggling with math to get better with math. And it was my favorite part of that program is you get paired with the same student through 6-8 sessions throughout the whole semester, and you get to see them progress. You get to see them have those aha moments. Oh, this makes sense. This progression of multiplication or addition or whatever part of mathematics we were learning on that particular day. So to be able to help somebody else enjoy math a bit more and take that into that classroom and gain that confidence is really rewarding. And by sharing our gifts or what we're good at with others, we can help others gain confidence and be the leaders, as we talked about in our introductions in our lives, and support others around us. Something like that.
So I guess, Mary, it's my turn to put it all together in an intro, or do we jump straight to the conclusion?
You would, now you know the points. So now you can kind of form an introduction, and Michelle can kind of form a conclusion.
Okay.
Altogether, this presentation is about 3 minutes. We do want to leave time in there for your introduction and your conclusion. So just keep that in mind. These examples are really strong. Though. This is great.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to consider the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of giving. And while you're thinking, I want you to listen to suggestions about why and what you should be doing. Also think about how you can be doing it yourself. And finally, think about what you can be doing specifically. And all through that, think about what you will be doing in the next few weeks before the big event itself.
Perfect. So Michelle, how would you wrap it up?
So we just finished listening to 3 wonderful points regarding the spirit of giving. We understood why, the how, and the what by offering some simple suggestions as giving throughout the year and not just focusing on this time of the season. We talked about the how by simply doing the pay it forward and offering some simple act of kindness, such as opening doors for those who may not be able to, and to share the love and passion that we have within us, such as volunteering or tutoring, whatever that is for you. So as we continue on with our year ahead, instead of focusing just on the spirit of giving at this time of year, let's focus throughout the year. And in the famous Grinch movie, let's help our heart grow from the itty tiny bit to expand out and give forward. Thank you.
Nice touch, Michelle. Well done. Okay, we've got another minute, so you can think about maybe transitions a little bit here. How are you going to go from 1 to 2 to 3? And yeah, I have about I've gave the other group about a minute more. I'm going to join that group and see how they're doing.
Pretty amazing watching it develop. And as a facilitator, in a room, I would wander and kind of, if nothing's happening, direct them. But remember, we're trying to create leaders. So if we direct, they don't find the leaders in the group. So the uncomfortable nothing happens because the students are figuring out, this is session 1. They might not even know each other. Be patient and let it evolve. It might take a little longer, but if we don't give them the chance to step forward, we're not creating leaders. And you don't need to be a leader making a speech because you've been doing it for years. So if you have to encourage, go ahead. But I can promise you, even with very young children, somebody will emerge to say, who wants to do number 1? Who wants to do number 2? What happens sometimes with adults is you have all chiefs. Nobody wants to follow, right? Or if you are doing it in a room where the children have decided, or the students have come in and decided where to sit, don't tell them to make their own groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that you separate the 5 clowns who are never going to do any work. And they are quickly disenabled when they don't have their buddy beside them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get a powerhouse group and you get a group of, I don't know anybody and I'm scared out of my mind, and those guys are freaking me out because they all know each other. So as a facilitator, it is on you to really make sure you've created a successful situation for everybody. But don't jump into taking over. And that's probably our biggest problem as Toastmasters, is this isn't happening fast enough. In this room alone, we probably have over 50 years experience. You're talking to a group that has 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? This is your very first session. So.
And I think another point, just to, like the group dynamic is one of the things that I've learned as a Girl Guide leader. There's always a couple of those girls that like to, and you're trying to teach a concept. One of the things that I've done is just sort of walked around and kind of just slowly put my hand on their shoulder. And it tends to, calm them down a little bit, and get focused. So instead of pointing them out.
True, Michelle. And I think when I think about some of the kids we had in the library were bouncy beans, man. Not going to sit still, not going to not interrupt, not going to, and realistically, some of them really are special needs, right? That is never going to happen with them. And I've learned as a leader, probably one of the worst things you could, Michelle, sit down. Michelle, come back here. Michelle, can you do this? Because what's going to happen next time? Nobody wants to be Michelle's group. So what Michelle suggested, I just go over and put my hand on their shoulder. Good job. You're sitting nicely. even if it's for 2 seconds, right? So that's all people management skills, which does change between adults and children. And children assume they know nothing. And your job is to fill their heart and their brain with what they need. And if you model, and we talked about this earlier, if you model the good example of how to do word of the day, or how to be the tabletop master, or how to give a positive evaluation, you will knock off all the bad examples. If you let a student bring the bad example the first time, you will get that forever. Oh, what did you think of their speech? Oh, I like basketball too. And you will never get an in-depth evaluation. We're going to do that right now. How was the second group? Got a speech ready?
They are totally ready.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Mary, we were just talking about, and for the group that just joined us, we probably have easily over 100 years experience in this room right now. And so it was very easy for you to create a speech, or I would hope so. The dynamics of how that speech comes together, who's going to be first, who's going to take a point, who's going to do the conclusion. As a facilitator, whether you run in and out of breakout rooms, or you move around a room with the groups in 4 corners, be patient and wait for the silence. Wait, even if nothing's happening, for somebody to emerge as a leader. Those kids are 15 minutes into their Toastmaster career. They don't know what a speech looks like yet. So it's not going to be perfect, although you will be shocked at what they come up with, and we'll watch this in a minute. What I'd like to do now is we're going to talk about, as a group, sorry, just a second, I want to share a slide. So now you're bringing the groups back together to present, and this is where we can teach evaluations without even doing a talk about evaluations. So if I share this slide, we're going to have, group 1 was in the main room, right?
We don't see a slide, Christina.
I know, because I'm
Okay.
not, sorry.
You just said, I'm going to share a slide.
Share a slide. Okay, let's do it like this. So in a room, and this is a teaching trick if you want, or a management room, I would have 3 slides, 3 cards. It doesn't matter what color they are. We have since called them the stoplight cards. The first one is something I like. The second one is something to improve. And the third one is your best quality, otherwise known as the sandwich method. Red, yellow, green. I always know that's the order, because that's the order of a stoplight. Don't even think about timing lights. Don't think, it's just my system. You can use it or not use it. Make it purple, green, and I don't know, white if you want. I am going to call Carolyn. You are going to do something I liked. You can see the card, right? You can see the slide. Allie, you're going to do something to improve. And Megan, you're going to do something, your best quality. Magna, sorry. So the first group is going to present. We're not timing. Generally, I would have said 3 minutes for your speech, but we're just going to let it run today. We only have 2 groups. If you have 5 groups and you're doing this, and a group takes 7 minutes, and another group takes 8 minutes, and another 2, you're going to be here until the buses stop, right? So today we didn't time, and that was by design, because I want to see what you got. So group 1, you're going to present. And when they're finished, those 3 people I will call to evaluate. So who was our introducer?
Ladies and gentlemen, as we enter the holiday season, I want you to consider the spirit of giving. And as you listen to the next few points on when, how, and what, I want you to consider how it impacts you and what you can do with that.
Throughout the year, we often have times to give, but it's not until Christmas, November and December, that we hear about the spirit of giving. What about those other 10 or 11 months? There are opportunities to weave the spirit of giving through all the months, like a magical thread going through the calendar. You can give to charity. You could give of yourself, either money or gifts, tangible items. You could give the spirit of yourself by volunteering or sharing your talents with others to make their lives better. The spirit of giving isn't just 1 month.
Throughout the year, think about that spirit of giving. What about if we offer our small kindness to the other people? How do you feel about that? Do you feel happy? Do you feel warm? I tell you, I feel it's much warmer than that. Before I came to Canada, I never heard about this program. Paid forward. Think about that. In your coffee shop, you try to pay something. You pay a meal for your strangers who never know expecting about this happening to them. What will that feel that happy though? They will feel surprised and also very honored. And they will carry on that kindness to the next person, to the strangers. That makes our society even better, isn't it? Offer kindness, to me, another example is that show your help to the other people who need it. At the hospital, when I was in there, I saw an old lady using a walker try to open the door, which is not automatically opened. She was struggled there. She didn't know how to open the door. And by the time, nobody was trying to help her. I was sitting there, I was thinking, should I do that? Well, she's like my mother's age. I should. I opened the door for her. She felt much released and very happy showing her face. I feel the same too. I feel I'm so valued for this as well. Showing kindness to every other single person throughout the year.
As I think about Lynette's point of giving year-round and Grace talk about paying it forward, I think about volunteering, sharing our gifts with others so that we can help others in their lives. When I was younger in school, I used to tutor. My favorite subject was math. And so I've wanted to share the happiness and joy of math that I experience with students around me. And a few years back, there were programs at the Calgary Public Library like Math Minds and Homework Help that I got involved with. It gave me such joy and honor to work with those students to help them feel the same way that I feel about math, to see the progression through the weeks, through the semester, as they became more comfortable with the concepts that we were teaching them through the different workbooks. So as you think about giving and the ways that you can give throughout the year, consider volunteering, consider your passions, consider your skills, and how can you be that leader in sharing those skills and mentoring others to grow as leaders in their own lives.
So in the spirit of giving this year, not just consider the November, December, as we mentioned, as you heard earlier, consider the when, the how, the what. So the how in just the simple, tangible and intangible ways that, that silver lining thread throughout the month. Consider the how by offering kindness throughout the year, collectively paying it forward to the person behind you, or simply act of kindness as opening the door for someone. And throughout the year, consider the volunteering that we heard. Share your love and passion, not during this time of the season, but throughout the year, as mentioned earlier. So again, just to wrap everything up, in that famous movie that we've all seen and the children love, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, remember that one scene when his tiny little heart grew 10 times bigger. Thank you.
Wow, supersonic speech. Who had the red card? And maybe in 2 sentences, you could offer something you liked.
I'm wearing the red shirt. I had the red
Perfect.
card.
Not one
For
person.
all the speakers, the item that I found most impactful was how you looked at the camera instead of the keyboard, instead of off, shouting, or hiding away. That is so powerful because we need that eye contact to draw us in. Well done.
Who had the yellow card?
For me, the thing that needs to be improved is just the camera. The camera is great, as Carolyn said, but just put a little bit down so that we can see your hand gestures more, because not all of you had hand gestures. Lynette and Michelle did, and a little bit Ksenia, but I didn't see from Grace and Rob.
Thanks, Allie. And who had the green card?
This group, what a warm, well-spoken group. The feeling that I got from every single one of you was that magical feeling that Lynette talked about, that magical thread you wove through the whole thing was warmth, tenderness, and a true awareness in each one of you that I felt personally of how much giving is actually receiving, how much I can get from giving. And you taught me that in a very embodied kind of way. I'm just loved what you guys did. And I really felt just warm, that green heart that Michelle talked about. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger through your whole speech. Wonderful job, guys.
Super. Thank you, evaluators. And thank you, speech. We're going to do second speech. And I just want to show you a trick. So this time we change the cards. So instead of what we gave the first time, and I'll just share again. The value in doing what we just did is I don't need to know what's on the card. I can just call red, yellow, green, and I can change what they are. So this time instead, and I can do it from across a room. So I don't have to remember, I don't have to write it down. And then once that's finished, I would just say, pass it to somebody else. Pass it to somebody not in your group. Do a card you haven't done before. And in the end of 3 speeches, those kids without any training have heard 9 different ways to evaluate. So it's a really fast way to incorporate evaluations without having to do an evaluation session. So this time I'm going to ask, group 2 is going to start. Michelle, you're going to evaluate their words. So we're changing it up this time. Lisa, you're going to evaluate their voice. And Ksenia, you are going to evaluate their body, their gestures. So considering what you just heard from the first group, you may want to use your space a little bit more.
So Christina, you have asked Lisa to evaluate, but she is
Oh,
part
she's
of
in the
this
group.
group.
No, it can't be Lisa. Because she was in the room when I signed it. So let's have Rob. Are you
So
okay
which
with that?
point am I doing?
You're doing voice. Okay. And so as we change the cards, we change the focus, and any one person can focus on one thing. Now it's kind of tricky here because you got 5 speakers, but you're going to make a overall. So let's have group 2 give their presentation on technology. Let's hear what you got.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a world where holiday traditions are shaped by all kinds of culture tradition, but by technology. If technology is a threat, the impact of this threat and the creativity it will help us to woven the fabric together with stronger connection. Let's dive into 4 points of our group to discover how our holiday celebration are evolving in this tech-driven world.
So as technology advances, sometimes we have a golden opportunity to take back and look at the analog things, such as books are coming back, records are coming back. Well, let's look at Christmas cards. Christmas cards are a way to connect. And we know that when we see and effort put into that connection, we as recipients appreciate it more. Now think about it in the mailbox. When you receive something, you pull it out of the envelope, you open it up and you read it, you look at it, how much more impactful that is as opposed to yet another line in your inbox. Now the evidence has shown this personally as I send out many Christmas cards, physical. And I always receive back the appreciation and usually an apology that they don't do it back, but how much they appreciate it. And vice versa. When I go to my mailbox and I can open something, I'm like, giggle. So technology to me has highlighted sometimes it's better to stay with analog.
One of the biggest ways technology has shaped our more recent holiday celebrations is making sure everyone is present and accounted for, at least virtually. Every family always has that one member who just can't make it home, be it because they're working over the holidays, or maybe they're at their significant other family's celebration, out of town, etc. But thanks to FaceTime and other video call apps, as well as social media apps like Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram, the whole family can now be together, even if they're thousands of miles apart. And not just as a voice over a phone, but in full face-to-face form. Heck, they might feel so close that you could even set the table for them. Just don't make them a plate and accept them to actually eat any of the food. That technology hasn't been invented yet. Now, when we had COVID-19 around and kept us apart with social distraction, video call apps have never been more popular. And something tells me that this year's holidays are going to be spent with a lot more virtual face-to-face time. While it's not ideal, it's better than not seeing our loved ones at all, right?
Oh my God. Oh, wait, is it my turn now? Okay, let me, just, how many of us have been at parties and family get-togethers where this thing becomes the thing that everybody wants to hang out with more than you and me? Technology is fabulous. I love going to ChatGPT and saying, okay, my friend is like this and this and this. What are great gift options for me? But when I get together with that friend, if I don't park this, then I'm stuck having half attention and not having that connection, that warmth, that love, and that reason that I'm sitting there in that room with them. If I wanted this, I could just FaceTime them like Ali said, but I don't want FaceTime. I want body time. I want hugs, and I want to laugh together and cry together and share our stories together. So while technology rocks, this thing needs to be parked once you've planned your party and you're sitting in the same room with each other. At least if you're going to hang out with me, because I'm not showing up to the party if you're going to be talking to your phone more than you're talking to me.
Don't put your phone away too fast, too soon. It is a great technology that we have today that help people engage with the Christmas planning. And even though we're still apart and like living in a different part of the world, we get families, friends engaged with the technology, using the technology and engage with Christmas planning that brings the better Christmas experience. Think about an app that you have a Secret Santa that your friends and family can join in there and to be signed up for a Secret Santa, and then you can scroll with the cell phone and select the gift or make your wish list. Then your family and loved ones will look at, oh, what should I get for my my loved ones, and then like, oh, this make it so easier for them to select by the gift that they love, and in such a rapid, fast-paced working environment before the Christmas season. And during the Christmas time, when everybody joined together, they're surprisingly getting the gifts and on their wish list. And it brings everybody a better experience and be a lovely Christmas together.
What's your plan for holiday? Do you plan mail a physical Christmas card or share the card electronically? Or maybe you're planning a Zoom party or connect your whole family 1,000 miles away together. It doesn't matter. You enjoy the advanced technology or you want to stay the tradition. The holiday meaning of sharing, love, and family has never changed. Technology just add more option for our life, make holiday more wonderful.
Yay, group 2, technology at the Christmas time. So who is providing us some feedback on their words? Michelle?
Yes. Thank you so much. When it comes to the words, some of the items that I was able to capture is I liked how the introduction started. It kind of provided, using your word, it gave us some sort of imagery, well, for myself, some imagery as you spoke about the thread woving through the woving every technology together. I really enjoyed that. It did provide some imagery for me so I understood what the rest of the speech was going to be. I also like the words giggle. When I hear that word giggle, it kind of takes me back to my childhood, when you're all together, you put the phone down, the thing with the park this, I thought that was just a lovely way of, yes, instead of putting it away, let's just park it for now, and then we'll go back to it, and let's giggle and hug it. Let's that interaction, that human connection. But then I also liked how Ellie brought in the online piece, when he talked about the video chat, the benefits of, how COVID-19 had helped us stay connected. So his use of words such as video chatting, the different social media, I loved how he tied all the social media words together. And then, of course, it was just everything, the way you guys used your language in this speech, you brought everything connected. You brought in language from the previous speaker into your speaker in the introduction, and then followed it up, and then a nice strong language at the end by bringing it all together. So great job with all the words to help provide us with some imagery on how to use technology during the holiday season. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Rob?
Yes. Well, I need to begin with an apology because I wasn't always making eye contact with you. I was trying to focus on your voice and what an experience that was. First thing I noticed was the power. When everybody started beginning, there was a power as you began. The vocal variety, strong, grabbed my attention. And from there, I followed you. Then, as I paid attention to your voice again, I noticed a couple of things. The pace. When a point was being made, you would slow down. When you're setting it up, you'd speed it up. But when it was time for the key point, you'd slow it down. And a similar strategy was the volume that you would use. You'd speak loud when you're trying to grab my attention, but when you really want me to lean in, you would really slow and lower your voice to make your point so that I would pay attention to what you're trying to convey to me. So congratulations. I saw a lot of great example through the use of voice where it grabbed my attention and it helped deliver your message.
Thanks, Rob. And Ksenia, tell us about their body.
Thanks very much, Christina. I'm gonna focus on 3 points that I saw in this group to help draw the audience in and engage with the audience and to make the audience want to listen to your speech. The first thing that I noticed is expressive facial expressions. What I saw is kind of wide eyes, for lack of a better expression, and smiles. So for example, Agnes, when you opened the speech, I really noticed that you smiled, you were open through your facials, and you really brought me in, and I wanted to lean in and listen to what you were saying. Magna, same when you were speaking about the props or leaving our phone at the tables or in another room when interacting with others. You just really drew me in and wanted to listen to your points. The second thing I noticed with this group is the use of props. So the phones with Magna or the use of the Christmas card with Carolyn. Again, it brings that interest, that variety to the speech and lets the audience put words, picture the words. Some of us are visual learners, others are more through the words. And by using both, you're bringing all of your audience into your speech. And the third thing I noticed was the hand gestures. Again, really that camera angle is the point. Magna, I really saw you hugging each other and Agnes weaving that thread. Carolyn as well, you had very good points that we're making. Again, it brings that richness and that body into the speech. And so that is the one point for improvement that I have for all of us is the camera angle, how far we are away from the angle. And of course, looking into that camera as Carolyn was speaking before to really connect with the audience. And as we're in this digital age, really practicing ahead of time. I know we didn't have that luxury here to see what distance, what those angles work best for the type of a speech that we want to deliver. Congratulations. It was a really engaging speech through your facials, the hand gestures, and the use of props. Well done.
Thank you, evaluators. And thank you, speeches. I'm pretty wowed. The speeches were amazing. You have all engaged and given tremendously, just even for that that activity and experience. And what we wanted to do today was to put you in the seat of the student. If I'm in a group with people I don't know, what does that feel like? How can I, as a facilitator, make a compassionate environment for my students to learn? And how can I only ask them what I have provided for them to be successful? So I'm not asking for a full evaluation. I'm not asking for a full speech. But if I can ask them to do a little bit and be supported standing at the front, for some students, just getting in front of the group is awful. You can do it from the corners of the room. Obviously online, you're on with your video and your microphone, but remember how that felt for you and what can you do as a facilitator to make that easy for the students. I'm just going to share a couple slides to share. This is tools for evaluation. You've probably seen this before. Eventually you would give them something like this. And what I've actually done is given keychains with words. So if you had words, there might be, what was the message? Did they give us vivid descriptive words? What were the details? And then train them to give feedback related to those 3 or 4 things. So this is kind of a high school or adult one, but if you were doing younger students, you might just do 4 things for each. So for example, for body, what did their eyes do? What did their face do? What did their hands do? What did their feet do? And we had amazing evaluators here. Everybody giving us 3 minutes on one point, but they might only do 2 sentences, and that's great. And I think the more you can actually encourage the positive, but also keep your eyes open for something to improve. And if you're the facilitator and somebody comes in, quote, with a mean evaluation, yeah, that's true. They could have used more words, but didn't you see their smile? They had such a great smile. And one of the things we want to do as facilitators is teach them how to build each other up. So don't be afraid of that. That's a little daunting. I get it. But this is all in your background to be able to offer to them. So what are the expectations? If you are the coordinator, you're the one running it, you've got 8 other Toastmasters with you, what are you expecting those students to finish after 8 weeks? I'll tell you mine, but when you sign on that certificate, it is your program. They need to complete 2 speeches. So everybody's going to do an icebreaker, and often our last session is a contest or a show us what you got. We invite the parents, and the parents are blown away. I've seen parents cry because they didn't know what their children were saying to them. If you want examples, call me later. I've got so many of where kids reached a bar that their teachers and their parents said, no way, not this kid. And they ended up being the superstar at the end. So never, ever discount anybody because they're shy or they don't speak English or whatever. There's so many unbelievable transformations that happen. At the time we asked for a full evaluation. What you just did was a third of an evaluation. So if I create a program where I'm always using the 3 cards, there is no opportunity to schedule for them to do a full evaluation, but you could do once you do words, once you do voice, and so 3 mini evaluations you would have to complete. 2 table topics, which is not hard in 7 sessions. They have to take on a major role and a minor role, and you can design those how you want. Have 3 quiz masters, have 2 grammarians, have 2 timers, have 2 table topic masters, have 2 Toastmasters, so that everybody gets it. So I don't have to be a Toastmaster interviewing or introducing 6 speeches. I can have 2 Toastmasters interviewing 3, and I'll call that a major role. It depends on how many sessions you have, how many minutes you have, and how many participants. If I have 25 kids in 8 sessions, that's 50 speeches. How am I going to schedule that? Right? They're not doing 5 to 7 minute speeches. All of a sudden it's a 3-minute speech, and we're doing 6 every week. And then we're doing 18 evaluators, so everybody's participating. I can have 2 quiz masters, so somebody gets a minor role. Plan it out, the whole thing, because otherwise you're going to have 10 Toastmasters at the end, or 10 grammarians, or 5 timers, which is ridiculous. And they're timing 1 speech each. But it is your standard. You make it you. And I know today, if I meet a youth leadership person who was in a program 10 years ago and they said, you help me, I know they've done table topics twice. They've seen good evaluations. They know they had to be a Toastmaster. And that is where my bar is. If you're going to say show up and do a table topics after 8 weeks and put your name on it, then you live with you. But do not lower your standards because you don't think the kids will get there. I have over and over and over again told high school teachers, no way. 2 speeches. Oh, these kids won't do it. Are you flipping kidding me? And then they get voted best speaker by their peers. So do not underestimate what they can do and raise your bar. And if you do it the first time and you get it easily, raise it again the next time. And I challenge you to be that coordinator. Name tags, I just want to show you some of the tricks that we did. If you had, say you had 20 kids in the group and they all had name tags, if I color code them and I have 4 colors, I know on week 1, all the pink cards are doing table topics. Week 2, all the blue cards are doing. There's no saying I'm not doing it, because if you always wait for volunteers, you'll have on the 3rd week 1 kid who's volunteered 7 times and 5 kids will never put their hand up. Just force it and they all go, I can't get out of it. And many teachers have told me no way. And I said, I'm sorry. I know this is one thing I know. They will do it. So, and if you're a parent, you know that your kids can get away with murder, or you say, that's not good enough for me. You can do better. We did do, and it's hard. I say for sure vote for best table topics and make the table topic master count the votes. So they get to see where their peers are voting. Don't do it for them. If you do best table topics, you will see the table topics be elevated throughout the program. If you want to do best speaker and best evaluator, it also sets a stage that I have to produce in front of my peers. And it's way, way more powerful than anything you can say or do. So it takes a little bit more organization, and you might not introduce it right away. Really quickly, these are some of the secrets and things that we've learned over the years. If you come the first day and they're all in the room and all the buddies are sitting together, the next week you put the cards out and you force where they sit. and change it every week. So you might find a good combination, you might separate a bad combination, but if you could take them apart, they have to stand on their own and they can't kind of elbow their buddy to laugh at them so that they become the class clown, or hide behind their big brother or their little sister or whoever's more animated. The coloring the name tags is a huge hint if you need to quickly create groups. Do not talk over the group. This is the hardest thing, and I see adults doing it in front of adults, and we're the worst because Toastmasters talk all the time, and not me. You don't mean me because I'm really special and I'm allowed to talk to my group while you're trying to teach up there or facilitate or keynote or whatever. Wait. It'll seem like forever. Count in your head to 10. And if you wait for quiet, you will never have to elevate your voice over them, and they will say, she's talking. This is important. But if you talk while there's 5 little conversations going on, you will never get their attention. So on the first session, just wait for quiet. And that's your benchmark. That's how you set up the room. Teach them how to do a lectern handoff, do the handshake or the fist pump or whatever you're allowed to do in your situation, and then teach them how to listen. This is really great. Lynette speaking. What's your job as the audience? And they'll tell you, sit still, not talk, look at them, lean forward, all those things to show active listening. Because when they do it for you, you do it for them. But if you don't teach them that that's an expectation, some of them may have never been told. So don't assume you're going to get a quiet audience just because. Tracking, I use the 10 cards, and on the back, they say what their job is. And then I have a master spreadsheet, because if I'm giving out a certificate, I want to make sure they did what I asked them to do. And then it forces the volunteering, right? We need a speaker for next week. Oh, Lynette, I see you haven't had a speech yet. What do you have on your card there? No speech. All right, let's do you next week. And don't wait, because you'll end up with 10 kids on the last day because they're never the kid to volunteer. So or you just say the blue cards are doing their speech next week, however you want to do it. Make sure you seek out the quiet ones and ask for their advice, because they'll probably tell you the most profound thing in the room. Don't let them sit aside and never have to volunteer or give their advice. If you need to, use a break, let them go to the washroom, bring snacks, whatever. My advice would be not to eat throughout. If you're going to do a snack, it's for the 5 minutes in the middle or at the end or on the last session. We actually didn't have snacking throughout. I'm shocked now how many kids eat during class time. I just can't even believe but everybody has different things. If you use the awards, or we use a treasure chest, one of the things that was super successful is we had a leadership award. So whoever was the GE, the visiting Toastmaster, would pick who was a great leader today. Sometimes it was a Toastmaster, sometimes it was a timer who gave a super efficient timing. They'll find the person that is the best that meeting. And if it's always the GE giving that leadership award, they're not going to know who was your superstar last week. And if it turns out to be the superstar all the time, so be it. And my advice to you as a coordinator is invite others to be part of this program. If they don't see youth leadership, they're not going to volunteer for youth leadership. Almost always people say, well, I'll do the evaluation workshop. Okay, great. Could you come the week before and see, so you know what you're walking into? Then they come, they get a feel for what their crowd's going to be like. They come and they do the presentation, and then they go, would it be okay if I come again? Yeah, because the more you see, the more you're likely to take it on for yourself. So
I'm going to jump in here, Christina.
Yeah.
We are so fortunate today to have 3 Toastmasters who've had a variety of experiences with the program, and they are eager to share their wisdom with all of you. So we're going to move ahead now with our panel, and we have 3 panelists that I am going to introduce. First off is Distinguished Toastmaster Daisy Wei. She is the current District 42 Director. As the leader of the district, she really holds a special place for this program, the YLP program. Over her Toastmasters journey, she was an AD, a DD, Division Director, Area Director, and she has volunteered for the Youth Leadership Program in all capacities. She says, and I quote, "It helps me practice skills learned from Toastmasters, building confidence and leadership." So please join with me in welcoming Distinguished Toastmaster Daisy Wei. Grace Wang is the energetic force behind Twin Towers Toastmasters Club. Currently, she's the club president and has served in many officer roles in that club. She has been the past area director for Area F20, earning the Area Director of the Year award that year, and she was the past division director for Division A. And she earned the Division Director of the Year award. That was 22-23. Grace supported the Youth Leadership Program in 2021-2022. So please welcome Grace. Distinguished Toastmaster Agnes Lowe is a seasoned company trainer and professional certified coach. She comes to District 42 with experience as a youth leadership program facilitator, guest speaker, trainer, and district coordinator. Hello, Agnes. In District 89, which is in Hong Kong. As an engaged Toastmaster since 2009, she knows this program, and she brings experience as division director as well. Currently a member of Fish Creek Bravehearts, Agnes reached out to me this past spring, and I welcomed her enthusiastic involvement today. Please join with me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Agnes Lowe. So I will ask Christina, she was going to, what's that called? Spotlight everybody. Now, I have one question I want to ask all three panelists. The question is, how or why did you get involved in the Youth Leadership Program? And I'm going to start with Agnes.
Hi, everyone. I was very lucky that I was first invited as a workshop facilitator at one of the YLP on a Saturday morning. We always have our Saturday morning YLP, and YLP in Hong Kong, just give you a little bit of background, it's always affiliated to a school. So no public people can join the school. It's always we work with the school and the teacher to form the YLP group. So I was a guest and a Toastmaster, and I remember the energy and also the curiosity of all the kids looking at us, and I'm also very curious looking at them. I see how the engagement that really make me feel so satisfied. So make it short, it was that moment that made me feel, wow, I like to do more volunteer work. Hey, my friend buddy, Toastmaster, any coordinator I can start. So that's the way I started, and it lasts for like at least 5 or 6 years in Hong Kong before I moved back to Canada. So I really love YLP program. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. That was wonderful to hear. So I want to move over to Grace now. How did you get involved in Youth Leadership Program?
Interesting for me, you can see the other two panelists, they're all DTMs. I'm not yet. Not yet. I'm so close to it. So Youth Leadership Program is one of the requirements to achieve my dream goals as a DTM. That's why I got involved in this program. By the way, unless Agnes, I am not really a fan of this program. I don't know I can lead the youth in the Youth Leadership Program. First of all, I don't think I'm a leader before I joined Toastmaster program. Second of all, I have no idea how to communicate this youth. I have a youth at home. I know experience with that. It's not easy. So one of the key reasons for me to join the YLP is I want to challenge myself and see how can I better communicate with those young generations, because the future is them, it's theirs. So that's, I want to bring my experience and knowledge, or especially not only my experience, but fellow Toastmaster experience, and get the program and better and help them to grow a bright future. That's one the reason I joined a YLP. And after one session, I kind of like this.
Thanks, thanks, Grace. I'm going to move over to Daisy now. Same question. How did you get involved in Youth Leadership Program, Daisy?
Well, first, it's my passion always to try to help the young generation. I feels like as an adult, if we can share our experience to our young generation, it will save a lot of time and energy for kids to grow up healthy and with spirit and energy. And just because personally in my life, I have run into several of a good teacher, and they gave me one or two advice. That's a small advice that make a big impact to my life. So I kind of want to continue that strategy to help our young generation. When I started with Toastmaster, I was like a sponge to learn how to speak, how to express myself. And then I found out there a community program called Youth Leadership. That's kind of just perfectly fit my passion. I said, okay, I may involve this program. So I joined the program as a volunteer before COVID for in-person program. And then COVID started, I was like, oh, I was curious how this thing happened for online. And I joined the several sessions for online. And suddenly I realized that within Toastmaster, I'm almost finished all the requirements for DTM. So I make up decisions that, yes, I should lead a session for YLP. And that's how I started. Well, I tell you, after I lead the YLP program by myself, I feel a lot of confident. That's kind of like, hey, you help others and you're gain from the of what you have done. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daisy. I wonder, Daisy, if you'll continue and tell us who helped you to organize your youth leadership program.
I receive a lot of help, seriously, a lot of help. Just from Toastmaster itself, I feel lucky. Every time I ask, could you help me? And then the answer most likely is yes. So I have contacted all my Toastmaster peers within my club, also outside my club. And Mary introduced me, said I have taken several roles outside my home club. And that's how I know many Toastmasters outside my home club. And so I've asked district leaders and the mentors, all the experienced speakers. And however, when I ask more specific. I said, on this day, on this topic, could you help? I probably gave them two choices, not too many choices. I gave them two choices. For example, I said, hey, Carolyn, could you help me introduce how to apply vocal variety or body posture to this youth group and those things? Yeah, so I strengthened my network and by asking help, and I also receive a lot of positive from our Toastmaster peers.
Thank you so much, Daisy. Oh, that's interesting how you really highlighted something that is very strong in this program. You get help. You get help from your fellow club members, and you get help from those people you're meeting here in this room. This is a really, it's a very strong example of that. Agnes, I wonder if you would continue with what would you say was one of the key things for the success of your youth leadership programs?
Well, I think there is a very big word, is commitment. Commitment is very important. I find that if they are dedicated and they can show up and also in several ways, we already feel that is a success. For example, consistent attendance, because they can always be absent, right? And also active participation throughout the meeting. That's very big commitment. And also their willingness to step out and show up at different role from their comfort zone, because they can easily sit down and comfortably sit there, because usually a class of those YLP in a school usually is like over 20 or sometimes 30 people in person. They can always sit at the back row of the classroom and they don't show up. So I think commitment is very important. And also each student, their unique energy. They brought unique energy, really contribute to the club meeting that will really make the success. So I find their commitment create a very supportive environment where everyone really felt encouraged. And even the facilitator or guests, Toastmaster coming to help everyone grow and also be successful. So that is commitment is very important for me. Thank you, Mary.
Really interesting that you point that out, because I do agree with you that it takes a commitment on the part of a facilitator. You're showing up all the time, but it definitely takes, if you have commitment from the participants, that is so key in making that program a success. Grace, can you tell us about a time that you watched a child grow in confidence?
I could see for that. So most of the participants, they are, I mean, not most, but the majority of the kids, they're not volunteering to attend this program. They are forced by their parents, so they're not willing to attend it. And I thought one of the kids, interesting for that, I've seen two different kids, two different type of kids. One is like, I don't want to talk at all. I keep my silence there. Another kind, no, I want to talk. I want to talk any minutes. I want to, try to attract people's attention. I want to show off. So one of the kids on that in the program I was cheering for, that was an online program, and that young fellow, and I think he was 13 years old, one of the youngest in that group. He's just talking, and even other people are still doing the presentation, and he still keep his mic open. By that time, it's not physical. I cannot talk to him directly, so I have to manually just provide either a private message to him. Hopefully he sees that, and also I'm going to announce in the group and say, not only the talking, but listening to the other people, we show respect. You also learn some skill from the others. After eight sessions of programs, I can clearly see his progress from always talking, transforming to starting to get to listen to other people, to value other people's points. Surprising to me is like after the whole session, and he was one of the a young fellow and asking me, when do we have a next session? That's one thing. And even more surprising me for that, after the program, I joined one of the Ascension school, and they have a prepared speech contest, and I was one of the judge in that time. Imagine what? Surprisingly, that boy, he won the first place for the prepared speech. He was so good at it. He's so professional on that. That's I saw his growth for that, from the youth leadership program to a better speaker. So honestly, he speaks really good on that, and he got a lot of tips on that too. And I still remember his name. His name is Wesley. That's the story for that.
Thanks so much, Grace. That's an inspiring story. Daisy, you also had a story about talking to. Anyway, I'm going to ask you, what is one challenge you were surprised by, and how did you manage it?
Well, thank you for the question. Before I move on the question, I want to add a comment. Grace mentioned the boy named Wesley. He won the speech contest. I want to tell you, Wesley's mom is Wesley's mom joined Toastmaster after that. Yeah, she's with my home club now. Okay. So I forget that Mary's question now.
I was going to ask you, what was one challenge that you were surprised by, and how did you manage it?
Yes, so I'll continue Grace's story. I was surprised that some kids, they are already attending many different sessions of training, public speaking training and debate training. So some kids are very talkative, and they thought they're great already. Okay, and then some kids, they're very quiet and shy. This is the first time their parents put them in this training program, and so our kids are very shy. So what I think, what I do is apply what we learned from Toastmaster. At that time, I was coordinator for YLP. I have finished the traditional 10 project manual. And then I was in 1.5 pass. So I have accumulated a lot of experience and skill for evaluation. So those time I did seriously apply my evaluation and feedback skills learned from Toastmaster. for shy kids, we got to give them a lot of encouraging. And for kids talkative and very proud of themselves, said, yes, I can talk. Especially some kids, they have some training for debating. Whatever you said, they are going to debate with you. And what I did, I pay attention, encourage them, and recognize what they're doing great, and then provide them constructive, positive feedback. And that's what I said. Toastmaster YLP program is a place to practice what we have learned from Toastmaster. And it is a really good place to make me aware how important the skill we learned from Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Daisy. I think that patience and encouragement is just a foundational part of this program. Agnes, I want to move over to you to explain a transformation you saw in a participant. Hear me.
Transformation. Okay. Well, I think absolutely is when a student was very quiet in the very beginning. I always like to describe to them at the end of the whole program how I witnessed. A lot of them, they lean their back to the chair, and then sometimes even cross their hand. And then at the end of the 8 weeks, they move forward and really engaging. So that is already a transformation. And what I see the transformation success definitely is when they are so shy, become confident speaker. And then after they graduated from the high school, I heard the news that they even joined the Toastmaster at the university and then became an 18 years old Toastmaster. And I saw them, or one of them, in the contest, international speech contest. No matter they win or not win, their change and transformation is very, very satisfying. I really love to see that. And that was a very good example.
Thank you so much. That is a very powerful example.
Thank you.
I want to ask Daisy, I'm going to ask this one of Grace. Actually, what was one activity that was really successful?
One activity that's really successful is actually the first meeting. We invited a couple of the experienced Toastmasters to help me to get the first introduction meetings for that. And before the official meeting, we have an introduction meeting to invite all the kids' parents to get them the foundation and also get them the layout, what the 8th program is going to be like, and each program or what the topic of that. So that's a basic for the first introduction for the meeting as a day before the official starts. The first very, very successful activities is the official meeting that, because we have so many experienced Toastmasters help me to set the tones, set the foundation of the program is be, and attracting other participants, other kids to coming over to look and see what the Toastmasters program is like, what is a YLP, and what they are going to gain experience from this program. Even though the first time it's really hard for the kids to understand everything, but that's at least for them to know this is a group of people, group of parents or adults, try to help them to grow them. Hopefully they understand it after the eight sessions after that, but that's very successful, set the tones for the first official meetings.
I think you've highlighted something really interesting, how it is just vital to have parents engaged and involved. And I think that I don't know, didn't hear Christina allude to this, but it is vital for you as a facilitator to create a safe environment for yourself as well as for these kids. And you don't be the communicator with those kids. You communicate, if you're going to communicate at all, with an organizer or the parents. You do not communicate with kids, and they don't communicate with you. It needs to be something that you're doing. I guess it's with the responsible adult. And you've really highlighted the importance of that right from the beginning, but that is something that you all need to keep in mind.
Yeah, good points for that. We need to protect ourselves too.
Exactly. And I've done both in person and online, but more recently, the online experience, or the in-person experience, I realized that that adult might be someone, I need to keep an adult in the room. So my program was just off hours, like it was 3 to 5 o'clock on a weekday afternoon. So the organizing group, I asked them to make sure that there was a volunteer in the room all the time, because I didn't know that if I was going to be able to get a guest speaker or someone to come. So I made sure that I had a volunteer from that group in the room all the time. So there was always this other adult in the room. I'm going to ask this last question of Agnes. I want to ask you again, what was one activity that you found most successful?
Okay. Well, one of the activity is inviting adult Toastmaster to facilitate a workshop on some specific skills. And I vividly remember one of the workshop that is very powerful. That is, the topic is about how to conquer the stage fright. So that really helped the kids, the children, they really find, wow, I'm really afraid to walk out. And now this big brother, I think is a big brother. Yeah, not a lady, that Toastmaster. He talked about how to overcome stage fright, which is something that a young speaker always struggle. So this really was a very successful workshop. And I find that that is something that I can always encourage other team to do this kind of workshop with experience to empower, because they like to look up as a role model and they feel that they are not alone. Adult also faced a stage fright before, and that is a real, I mean, this fright. And now as a kid, and now I see a role model who has also become a very confident speaker. So they will feel the adaptability to see, oh, I can also do it from a role model. So with that very engaging and very interactive workshop, I receive a lot of great feedback from the student, and they find that this is something I like to have more workshop from some experienced Toastmaster so they can learn from them. So this is one of the successful session, I would say, in Toastmaster and YLP session.
Thank you so much, Agnes. I think it's really interesting to look at the skills that not just you have, but the skills in your wheelhouse, in your network, because some of those people might be the very best people, the most informative people for your students. So thank you for that experience, Agnes, and all of our panelists. I want to open up the floor now to Q&A, and this would be for anybody who is, I mean, you can ask a question of anybody in the room. So I know Ksenia had a question. Is she here? So there she is.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Mary, and thanks to all the panelists. And I wanted to ask about setting expectations around attendance. And Agnes, I think you spoke about that in one of your questions, and I think Grace, you alluded to it. And what would you say, like, if a student does have to miss, what would you say the attendance expectations, like what would be a good expectation to set, and how do you set it with the students?
I'm wondering, Christina, if you could just speak to that, because you brought that up, expectations first off.
You know, it's interesting. I think there's a easy out. And when we started one program, we told the parents it's 100%. You have to attend 100%. And then one poor family had a funeral they had to leave town for. And they were driving to Saskatchewan, and the mother was texting saying, please, please, can we still be in it? We have to go to a funeral. We're like, oh my gosh, we're not that impossible. Right? So just come next time. But if it's I'm too tired or I can't make it, in my experience, if they miss 2 sessions, no certificate. Keep coming back and learning. But I always use the example, if you want to be a lifeguard, the program is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you miss any of it, no qualification. So if you want stuff in life, you do the time. You are committed, and you're engaged and you participate. And if you can't make it, we have another program next month, or in 6 months, you can come back. But I think if you give it away and you give that certificate where somebody doesn't, say they come to 3 out of 7 sessions or 8 sessions, or they don't show up and do their second speech, then I invite them back again. But if you're going to sign off on that, next time somebody sees you leading, they're going to say, yeah, just go to 5 and you'll get it anyway. So it's on you.
Yeah.
Well, for
Did anybody else have another question? Did you have a question, Daisy?
oh, I see Grace that had the hand up. Let the Grace say it first.
But well,
Sorry, I didn't see a hand up. Grace.
Not a question. I just want to add on to Christina's comments on that. When I was running for online program for that, I by the end of the session, I have a strong feeling I don't want to hurt kids' feeling without accepting or receiving a certificate after this 8 weeks, right? And for that, in order to not have that happening, we're trying to set the tones, and also at the beginning of the session, we plan everything ahead of time. We push the people, the kids who's not willing to talk, and we schedule them to next meeting and see you are going to deliver a speech on that time. And if you need supports, we're going to find the supports for you. But we plan ahead of time and make sure all the kids meet the minimum requirements. By the end of the session, they can receive their certificates, because we don't want every single kids to left behind and also feel so hard feeling for that one though.
Grace, you are pointing out something really important. It's that in your tracking, you are planning ahead. You're seeing the kids that are not signing up for roles. You're seeing the kids that maybe are not doing speeches. And you're right, like session 3, session 4, you're talking all the time about what the requirements of the program are to get a certificate. And you're setting the kids up for if they're going to get the expectation met or not. Did anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
What's your question, Lisa? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm interested in the youth leadership programs, because like my daughter, I guess, growing up, and then like in my past education, or like my personal education background, like where I feel like we're missing that part of like public speaking and opportunity speaking, and I'm trying to play the catch up. You know how hard it is to catch it up as an adult. So I actively look like public speaking program for young kids in Regina area. I don't find many, like I find none. So that's why I'm like I find like it's an essential skill, especially like we're have emerging technology with AI and stuff like that. The in-person connections and communication is critical for them when they grow up. So my question is like, with this program, it's great to give them opportunity to speak, and I have attended one of the session in the region here, and the environment, or like the energy that kids bring into the room, and like the ideas are fantastic. You know, I was like surprised those young minds, like what they have in mind, and like the excitement and energy. My question is like, how do roll out the program, and does the kids or parents need to pay for it? And
I can give you a little bit of information about that. You would not believe how many people get involved as facilitators because their kids are going to be the right age. Right, Katrina? She actually led programs because her kids were going to, she roped her kids in and said, you're going to come because I'm going to lead it. So, but you hit on some interesting points there. Adults run the program because their kids need it. There is no charge. There cannot actually be a charge. At the Toastmaster Club, that is probably the sponsors club or the facilitators club, is going to offset any cost. There is a book and a coordinator's manual. We actually kind of don't use that. I have a website, and I can show you that if you touch base with me. I will share all those resources with you. I will just remind everybody that on the District 42 website, under programs is a tab for Youth Leadership Program. And under that is all these resources, the overview, the agenda, the name tags, the tracking tools, evaluation stuff, everything is in there. So that'll be a place to start. And this recording will also be posted there, and we will put that there. But I really am encouraged to hear this, Lisa, and I know that Lynette is delighted to hear this as well, because we really need more people in Division B who are willing to do this, and you're in Division B, so that's great. Michelle, you've got a question. This will need to be our last question. Go ahead, Michelle.
Thank you very much. I took away quite a few tidbits regarding this program. I had volunteered with the Youth Leadership Program back in Calgary through the Red Door Society. They did the youth leadership there. Okay, now I'm thinking, was it in Regina or in Calgary? Anyways,
Regina Open Door did one.
Regina Open Door did one, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I was involved in that. But my question is I live in Carlisle, and I work for the First Nation at White Bear. And I want to bring in this youth leadership. Now, my challenge is going to be parent involvement. My challenge is going to be having other Toastmasters help in a physical form in person. And then my challenge is how do I overcome or get the support from the district?
So we can address some of those offline a bit, Michelle, but I will tell you that every facilitator kind of needs to figure out their groove, like what it is that they will do, what it is they won't do. So for example, I don't know if these kids are physically present. Maybe you would have an online program. But if they are physically present, maybe you can figure out who are a couple of people who you could draw on to be those people in the room, other adults in the room. And you might not be able to get facilitators that will come to every session, but maybe you'll get one or two Toastmasters who might come and do activities. So it be a way of figuring out what will work for you, what will work for in that location. But we can definitely take this offline.
And then the next question is when is the ideal time? Because I'm trying to figure out when, because I'm going to do it at the high school. Like I'm taking the high school. So when is like the ideal time?
Not
like
during exams.
Yeah. Well,
not during exams. I've seen Christina. It's challenging because there's exams, there's spring break, there's Christmas, there's holidays. You're always, I guess, diving between those. A group I did in person was in January and February because we could do it, we get it done before spring break. But I think the fall is a good time, except the kids are not always in gear yet. And I don't know if your school board is doing the fall reading week or break or not, but that's another thing to consider. I'm going to drop a survey in the chat. I want to just it's just 3 questions. It's like an evaluation, but the last question is, what's the best thing? And one of the things we're going to go over at the end is nuggets. So when you write your best thing, just kind of remember your best thing, because that's something we want to hear. So whoops, I think I'm going to drop it in the chat. Draft. The copy that you did a few minutes ago doesn't always stick. There it goes. Okay, try that. Okay, Christina, in a minute, you're going to go on.
Thank you all for filling in the feedback. Obviously, that's how we grow and how we can improve for next time. So most of you are probably saying, so now what's next? I've never done it before, or I want to do it again. So congratulations. The first thing is to attend a training. And Mary's been really good at making sure that within District 42, we can always find out more and come to a training session. So well done you. You've already done the first thing. The second thing would be to attend a session and volunteer to do one of those workshops, one of those educationals. Assist a coordinator and then become a coordinator. It does help if you work through the steps, because it'll give you the confidence, and you will have seen lots of different examples about what might happen in your own session. And we beg you, we invite you, we encourage you that when you do coordinate, mentor somebody else to be the next coordinator. If Toastmasters are where leaders are made, not only are we creating leaders in our students, but we're making leaders with each other. And when you have something that's really good, come to a training or be part of the training so that the next group can do the same. If you know a group that's looking for a session, or you know somebody who wants to lead a session, let's see if we can match them up. And Mary's our coordinator for District 42 this year. Connect with her. Her email is on the slide right now, and she will match you up. We have a lot of people saying, I want a program in this area, or I want to help with a program. It's really good that we could support each other that way. Before we sign off, we'd love you to help us. Tell us something that you thought was really valuable today. And if we could just go around the room, you don't have to give us 3 minutes, but in one sentence, what is one trick or one strategy or one resource that you didn't know you had or is available to you now? We'll just start. I'm going to do it through my screen. So Grace, you're at the top.
Well, I love the experience sharing by the previous, all the facilitators about the YLP program. And also one key things I learned today is how to form a quick speech as a team. I love that. I'm going to apply that to my home club. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace. Lynette?
Legos and colors and how to apply that. I feel, being somebody who's neurodiverse myself, I feel that that would be even great in regular Toastmaster meetings.
Thank you. Agnes?
I think it's the collaborative idea. Besides, Christina, your training is fabulous. I really like all those tricks and tips, how to engage the student. And then with a lot of great question about some challenges, and we input a lot of different ideas. I think that is very valuable. Thank you.
I think you're right, Agnes. Our biggest resource is each other, right?
Yeah.
Helping each other. Allie?
Easy to unmute, Allie.
For me personally, what I learned is that how to do an evaluation with the kids using those cards. I did not know that you can do that, but that's one thing that I learned.
Beautiful. Daisy?
Well, what I learned, district that had a program and had many support for this YLP program. And if I need help, I can find someone to provide support for me.
Awesome, Daisy. Thanks. Ksenia?
Expectations. I think it was great you talking about don't lower your expectations because you think the kids can't do it or don't get it. Just set them and let them rise to it and then keep going. If they're already there, just keep challenging them and let them surprise you because they really do.
Have faith.
Yeah.
I know it's really tricky and you don't want to hurt their feelings. You want to challenge them too much, but if you don't, they won't come back. And when they get there, they'll be 10 times more confident because you didn't minimalize what they could do. Lisa?
You will be surprised. It's wait for quiet.
Nice.
Like just the general like tips and the skills that you have shared, and then like I find like it's quite useful. I haven't ever think about that. I did at the last session I went to. They started like one kid had a speech, and then another kid form a speech like two against him. Like it's become a whole very active debate. So session, they become a debate session. So I just with the kids, I think it's very important to give them room and then like that freedom to free flow, I guess. And then sometimes like waited it out and then turned out up to be a better result.
Yeah, we forget sometimes what we innately know or expect, they don't know yet.
Yeah.
So you can't get mad at them for not knowing to not talk during a speech if you haven't told them don't talk during a speech. And that might sound pretty rudimentary, but what my experience with children lately is they come from so many different backgrounds. Sometimes that's normal for them. So we have to set those boundaries within our space. Michelle? Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, a lot of good golden nuggets I took away. But I think the one that stands out is setting the expectations right up front, what they are, and follow through with the consistency, especially with youth, because I don't think they have a lot of that consistent.
And I think just to bounce off that, Michelle, it's teaching them goal setting. It's teaching them aiming for something I have to finish. That is not what we think is one of our objectives in the program, but it actually is. And if you can train even one of your students to learn what goal setting is, you win, because they're going to need it everywhere. Rob? Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah. One very simple thing. It's my second time attending, and the first time it literally felt like drinking from a fire hose. So there was so much information. And one thing you provided, because I kept wondering, okay, how do I prepare? How do I do this? The link to D42 with all the templates, my stress level just went down. As soon as I saw it, okay, now I can do it. If Mary calls and I say, yeah, okay, this time it's like, I'm in 100%. Thank you.
That's huge, Rob. That is absolutely huge. Thank you. Marcy, are you there?
I am. This was wonderful to hear everyone and to see the enthusiasm and to hear what happens with everything. I was very fortunate because Christina was the one that mentored me and has brought me along with YLP. And my nugget is build yourself a team. Find that group to work with you. I am always amazed when I hear that there are people who are the only ones delivering it from their club. The opportunity to mentor and engage another Toastmaster in this great opportunity where we're working with the youth. There isn't anything quite like it. And we're here this is where leaders come from, both in Toastmasters, and we help develop the leadership opportunities in our youth programs and let them know that they can be leaders equipped well and give them skills and confidence to live in what is becoming an increasingly difficult world. Thank you so much for coordinating this session, Mary, and bringing all of these Toastmasters and committed volunteers together. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Marcy. I just want to say we're just after 11, so we're going to end here, but you're welcome to stay on here if you've got a few more comments. Christina needs to head out, so we're going to throw our golden nuggets down, untap the potential of our youth, and we'll say goodbye to Christina. See you later, Christina.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, everybody. And enjoy your time with the youth. They will energize you and bring you back to you. Thanks, Chris. We'll talk soon.
So exciting to hear that Lisa's keen on running a program and Michelle's keen on running a program, and Rob might get out there this year. But it's interesting, and we don't always have people right in the place that we want at the time. You can think about personally whether an opportunity is something that will work for you or not. And I'll definitely keep you on my radar and keep you informed what programs are shaping up right now. I know that when I was approached by this is by a parent who had been directed to me, I asked the parent to, okay, well, can you get 15 kids together? Can you get a space? And she really wanted an in-person program, but didn't feel like I didn't feel able to provide everything. I didn't feel able to provide a venue and registrations and all this stuff. But if she could do that, heck, well, I could probably come up with a program. And so she did that, and I did the facilitator piece, and together it worked out to be a really interesting program. So that's something to consider. How can you get other people involved that are not necessarily Toastmasters, but might be really eager parents or organizers, that might be teachers? It would be someone else. Agnes, it looks like you were going to say something.
I always find that if we want to grow YLP, I know D42 has very long history of YLP and really appreciate today everyone's great experience. I feel that as marketing way, we can get some testimonial from parents, especially, is it Daisy was talking about a parent became Toastmasters because of the kid. Why not we interview them? And now technology is so simple. Have an interview, put it in D42, and then as like, wow, from a student, inspire a parent, a mom or a dad, I don't know who is that. And then that person became which club of the D42 Toastmaster member. And perhaps that person can even an assistant or even the key coordinator. I think that is a real model of how YLP can transform a family, a person, a student, a person as a parent, as a mom. I think that can be considered as interview that person to give a testimonial. How much enjoyable. It's not something compulsory, so much burden, so much hard time, and so much like scare and fear. Instead, it's enjoyable, and also how they can really show the joy as a YLP leader. I think that is something we can consider. I mean, testimonial is very important because it's better than we say how good YLP is. We always say YLP is good because we believe. How can other people believe is some people already got transformed and how they face all the challenges. That's how I feel. This is a little bit of my input.
Great idea, Agnes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And I see Lynette is taking notes. From a marketing point of view, she's our person. But for marketing YLP, you have really addressed something very specific. So that is something that we can get on for sure. Thank you.
I think maybe like it need to be go one step further, as Lisa here. So because for me, like the challenge, I didn't even though I'm a Toastmaster member, I didn't even know YLP program.
Yes.
So it take me, some time to find, okay, because I know like Toastmaster is like public speaking, and I start to look for young leadership program, like look for public speaking program for kids, and then like YLP stand up, because like then if parents are not actively looking for public speaking, they don't know it. Like when I Google it, like it doesn't show up.
Yeah, I think as well, Lisa, you're speaking to something that is interesting, because there are actually a lot of parents are looking for some kind of public speaking thing for their kids. And we do find that if we go around the room at the first session and ask, are you interested in public speaking, or did your mom sign you up? It'll be, my mom signed me up most of the time. Yeah. So it's not the kids are there, it's that their parents are there. And I get many different requests because one parent has talked to their friend who's a Toastmaster, because that one parent has a kid who's a teenager. Well, we can't address all those needs. If that one parent will come to me and I can help them along the way with coming up with some more participants and coming up with a space, well, then perhaps we can develop a program. But you're right, it's not as prevalent as Toastmasters clubs, but it could be something bigger than it is, for sure. So thank you very much all for your involvement today. And I especially appreciate our panelists, Agnes, Daisy, and Grace, for attending and becoming part of this program.